Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi from ServiceNow. I'm a ServiceNow guy with the cool bow tie. I haven't said that in a while. Almost forgot my own tagline. This is the show that makes you a more effective ServiceNow developer and administrator by giving you the thought process, the answers, the journey of exploration as we go through the questions and answers and problems and things that people post on the ServiceNow community that is right behind me, if all the screens are working right. All right. Quick sip of the herbal tea and away we go. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on those notifications, click like if you find something useful in the next hour or so that lets other people know that you are out there. And you will also get the wonderful notification on your mobile device if you got those notifications turned on. That way you know when this and other content from the community is available. So thank you very much for subscribing to that. Good morning, John. Good morning, Steve. People are checking in already. 2 thumbs up. Let's get also going to Twitch. We do this on Twitch. I know a number of you watch there. Thank you very much. It's posted there for a couple of weeks, whereas YouTube is around forever. If you've got something more than a shout out, a good morning, how are you? Welcome. Where's the coffee this morning? What's the weather like? Be sure to put that in the community over at community.servicenow.com so it is searchable, referenceable. You get more eyeballs on it. You have a better chance of getting your problem, your question answered. I will be going through those, but if I don't get to yours, don't feel bad. It's not because I don't like you. It's because my specialty is in custom applications, integrations, and the platform in general. So those are the topics that I will focus on. Those are the areas that I'll dive into and explain much better. With any luck, some of my colleagues will be doing a similar broadcast or video series or whatever from time to time, open office hours, to give you that information. I did understand that there is an open office hours for performance analytics. If you look for that in the events on the community, you will see, I believe the next one as of this recording is coming up on the 26th or 27th. I don't recall what that is, but it was pointed out a couple of days ago. Thank you very much. This live community thing is awesome. Good morning, Carol. Good morning. Everybody's checking in. The bow tie is conflicted with green screen. Yes, I know that. This light blue one, it's very strange because it is truly a green screen, but the white balance here is a little off. It comes out more as a teal for the camera. So still working on that. Not sure what we can do about that, but if I had it truly green, then I wouldn't be able to wear my green shirts. So a little flicker on the tie. It gives it that Harry Potter look. I'm transparent. I'm invisible. I'm see-through. Then, let's see, after the community comes the developer community, which is on that screen. Developer portal over at developer.servicenow.com. Apparently, I need to log in again. I swear I just did this, but it must have been on my laptop. This is not my laptop that runs. I was told this is going to be rebranded with the new logo today. Keeping my eye out for that because there's somebody who needs a screenshot for a video. I don't know if you've been watching the Now Support channel on YouTube. Darius Kamari has been doing desk side chats, and I was lucky enough to be part of his series. We recorded 3 of them, one on the community, one on the developer portal, or developer program, and one on the platform. And our community, the community one is out. I think the platform one is out also. And the developer portal, developer program is just waiting for the rebrand of the developer portal, which I was originally told was Monday, then I was told today. So once that happens, I'm just going to capture some screenshots navigating around, and that will be put into the video so you have something to watch rather than listening to Darius and me talk for a while. So that was a lot of fun. If you haven't already done so, go over to YouTube and look for Now Support or ServiceNow Support, and a lot of great content there as well. So I know many of you have already subscribed to that. Thank you very much for that. Good morning, Eric. Eric's up bright and early. Wow. And they think I get up early in Phoenix. I know time change is coming up soon, so pretty soon everybody's going to shift their clocks forward, I think it is, spring ahead. We don't do that in Arizona. So this show is at 6 a.m. UTC. This is the 21st. Is it the 21st of February already? It is. February 21st. So long, February. We're on the final week. Whew, that was fast. I remember I said in December, blink once, it'll be January, blink twice, it'll be February. Well, I blinked twice. It's late February, and there are fewer and fewer days till knowledge. But progress is being made. I'm making good progress on the projects that I've got. I even got out the soldering iron yesterday to work on the IoT project again. Whew, those skills are a bit rusty from last summer. Where were we? Developer portal, free personal developer instance, scripting APIs, free learning plans, everything you need to do to advance your career from being a ServiceNow admin to being a ServiceNow developer, or being a developer in another language, another platform, and getting familiar with ServiceNow. Everything you need there is available, and we will be referencing that probably more than once in this episode. I do have something that I want to talk about that I'm curious to see if it's there. Good morning to everybody. McSay Gaming Room. That's an interesting YouTube handle. And don't forget, your free personal developer instances can now include Madrid. Madrid is our latest release. It is going into general availability I believe it's March 6th. And we have early access available as of late January. So you can use these instances to try out new things, explore new stuff, and do that learning of Madrid before you get there. We also have developer meetups that happen all around the world. You can find out those and other events at the events menu that you see up there. We've got a Sacramento developer meetup. I believe it's tonight. Yes, it is tonight, Thursday, February 21st. Tech Now webinar. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. Nashville coming up on February 26th. That's next Tuesday. Charlotte is also next Tuesday. Next Thursday, Oklahoma City. We've got one in Oslo. We've got one coming up in Melbourne, Stockholm. I told you, all over the world. If there isn't one in your area, go over to meetup.com. Take a look. There's lots and lots. We have 14,500 people that are participating in these meetups that are part of the meetup group that get this information. And look, we've got one lonely one down in, I think it's Sao Paulo. Hey, how about Rio? How about lots of other places around the world that have a collection of ServiceNow developers that want to get together and talk about this stuff. We've got 50 chapters. Reach out to us if you want to start one in your area, and there isn't one. We can help you become a ServiceNow developer meetup organizer. It's a wonderful, rewarding, and potentially good career move for you. Good morning, Owen. If you want to communicate with employees about product trainings, announcements, webinars, enrollments, and product information, what plugins do you recommend? If you want to communicate to employees about product trainings, announcements, webinars, for Service Portal, I would probably, it's on by default, announcements. I believe it came out in Kingston or London. I have to check. But there are announcements available on Service Portal that you could do that. Consider that. You could put up a one time. You could put them up from a start time to an end time. Again, good question for the community. If you go over to community.servicenow.com and post that, you get some other opinions. Mine is not the only valid source of information on the ServiceNow features. And thank goodness for that. This would be a far different world if it were. The Carol says, really like the videos from Darius. Yes, those are very good. Very creative, too. He's got a good team behind him. The multimedia team that we do that work, outstanding. Working with them on a different project right now. So, also want to remind you that Knowledge is coming up. Hit the right keyboard here, Charles. Knowledge is coming up May 5th through 9th. 2 days of pre-conference training, May 5th and 6th, where you can get new training on whatever it is, whether it's ITOM or SecOps or ServiceNow scripting. It's available there for that Sunday and Monday. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we go into the regular conference where there's hands-on labs, customer-led sessions, lots of great information. Bring your business cards, build your network, get more out of this conference. This is the premier event for ServiceNow. Lots and lots of stuff. I believe we're expecting 20,000 of our closest friends. So I look forward to seeing you there May 5th through 9th in Las Vegas, Nevada, I believe it is. I just got corrected on that. So I have to retrain my brain, one of those kind of things. The other thing we've got coming up, of course, is our Tech Now webinar, episode 61, about exploring the Madrid platform features. I will take you through what's new in Flow Designer and Integration Hub, what's new in mobile, what's new in scripting APIs, what's new with, there's all kinds of stuff that's been new and updated. There's even new information on the email client that's available. When you click that little envelope icon on Incident, you may want to be to behave differently than it does on customer service records. So lots of good information about that. This will be an overview on some of these topics, and we will be covering them deeper in March, April, and June. So look forward to that. By the time we get to August, guess what? It's time for the next release, New York. So we only really had to think of a few topics to fill in between what's new in Madrid and what's coming in New York. It all starts over again every 6 months. It's a wonderful thing. So join us Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time, whatever that is in your neighborhood, before or after you change your clocks. I know different people in different areas change their clocks at different times of the year. We also have any script that's written today is in GitHub at the URL you see there. It's organized by dated folder. If I do include something, it will be available in the description in the YouTube video and in the community post to take you directly to that folder. Yesterday, we wrote a couple of server-side scripts playing around some Glide record queries. They are available for you there. I added some additional options as we went through the iterations on that Glide record and said, this is a bad way to do it. This is a slightly worse way to do it. This is good. This is even better. I put those comments in there for you. So those are available over at GitHub in that repo that you see there. Don't know if anybody forks it or clones it. Don't know if there's a point to that, but it's available for you to copy and paste and play with those. I encourage you. Get them, experiment, tweak them, test them, break them, reset them. That's how we learn. I remember when I was a young boy in high school and stayed after school to play with the computers. That was the only time I could get some free lab time. We only had like two Apple computers that I could use, and they were busy for classwork all through the day. So I would go in after the class. The teacher was kind enough to give me extended permission to allow me to use those, and just said, close the door when you leave, and stayed after, and I would go through the book and I would type in the programs and tweak them and test them and see where it's led me. Boy, don't stay after school, kids. It meant I had to walk 2 miles in the snow home after because I didn't have a bus. 2 miles may not seem like much now, but it was when I was a kid. Alrighty. Excited to play with the service agent once my company moves to Madrid. I believe you might mean Agent Workspace? That's going to be exciting stuff. That is good stuff. And it is available in Madrid in general availability for ITSM and CSM. I'm excited to start playing with that, making it available to custom applications. Can you imagine rolling out a custom application that has its own workspace, that has its own great new way of interacting with those? That's going to be exciting. And then seeing what else we can do with that workspace. All right, where was I? Community, right behind me. Let's get to work. See what we can find. This is totally unscripted. I mentioned this is February 21st. I'm going to dig into the unreplied. We'll play here for a while. How to display text based on users' login language. What are they looking to display? I have text to be displayed in a widget that needs to be in the user's language. What is the proper way of doing this? This is jelly code. You can tell because it says jelly right at the top. And they want this in here. How can I get this text to the user language here? Can I use the GS get message? Yes, you can, and yes, you should. Okay, so the proper way to do that. Yes, the proper way to do that is with gs.getMessage. I prefer to use, I'm going to call it programmer style keys rather than the full text to translate. Example, key is welcome message, and the message is welcome to the service portal. Okay. That way, if someone didn't translate a message, they get welcome message on the screen. And it's very clear that it needs a translation added to, See if I spell this. Fingers, come on. Translation added to the messages table. System UI messages. Also known as the sysui message table. I'm trying to remember where you do that in the Jelly code. If you can do that right inside, if it's a Jexel expression. I think it is. I think you can do it as a Jexel expression. I have to go back and check one of my legacy programs that did. I don't have one at my fingertips right now to do that. I haven't written Jelly in a while, but I do keep apps around that for just such situations. Actually, I might be able to find one on the developer portal under Share, Home, Loaner Request, Exam Manager. Don't know if I can expose this or not. Related files, PDF, rating, review, discussion, delete, download. I don't want to do that. I want, here we go. UI action update server access controls. That's not much of what I'm looking for. That doesn't have the UI pages in here. That's nice. Access controls, no. Business rules, no. I don't see the UI pages. We don't list those. Apparently, it digs into the update set and parses it out, but it doesn't expose those. Okay, back to the community. See what we got. Good morning, DaVinci Technology. Good morning, Ed. Good morning, Carolyn. Everybody's checking in. Thank you for joining this morning. This is totally unscripted. We're going through the community. If you're new to this, thank you for joining. Where's my unreplied stuff? Refresh the page. Is there an easy way to understand HR tables and HR flow? Not that I know, because I don't understand it. I know some basic, a few of the tables, but my understanding at a very super duper high level is it's effectively, it started out, I shouldn't say that it still is, because I haven't looked at it. A few releases started out as incident management for HR. It's HR case management. So it's built upon that to become HR service delivery. But I don't understand all that goes into there. So HR doesn't call them incidents, they call them cases. And it's got a lot more security around it. Attachment, access rights, how to calculate metrics. I'm looking for something that we can dig into real quick. I am unable to edit MVRS. Oh, don't forget, if you are talking about HR tables and HR flow, probably doesn't go in Now platform. Here, you want to make sure you use the right sub-forum, the right forum. This one is in human resources. So this top one, probably should have gone in human resources. Make sure if you're new to the community that you put it in the right forum so that you get the right eyeballs on it and you can get a better chance of getting your question answered. Putting it in the wrong one is like walking into a fishing store and asking, hey, where's the tires? You're not in a tire store or an auto parts store. You're in the wrong store. So get in the right store. Need to configure AG reports on incident and catalog task table. That one would probably be better served in reports and analytics. How to manage path expression size in discovery. Path expression size. It's an ITOM question. It's in the right place because discovery is ITOM, but it sounds like it might be programmatic. Hi, community. When I run discovery on my server, WebLogic pattern is launched, but failed, and I get the following error. Failed to get file due to path being too long. 2495. The path expression should not exceed 2,000 characters. Someone know how to fix this? Sounds like you're getting it back from WebLogic, and it's a WebLogic question more than it's a discovery question. But again, I don't know the depths of WebLogic and the probes that it sends out, or the probes that we send to WebLogic. Excited, I'm in the middle of rolling out and adopting the dashboard for local IT in the company, and the next phase will be to move into the service portal. It's dope. Less searching, more upfront info. Yeah, Agent Workspace is a wonderful thing. Identifying missing records and import sets. Sure, why not? Let's take a look. We have a nightly import of all our VM instances into the import table. Then this import/update CIs in the CMDB VM. Cloud management might be of help here. Since the previous nightly run, sometimes a VM instance can be deleted from disk, and therefore by the time the next day rolls around, it's not sent in the nightly import. In our CIs, we use the field operational status. We want that if a VM instance is not in the latest import set, then it will be set to the operational status to retired. How to best achieve this? Is there some way to compare the last import set with the current to work out which records are missing? Here's what I would do. Here's what I would do. We had to do something similar. I believe it was for people that were deactivated or something once upon a time. Add a date field for the last import. In the import set, use a script in the transform to set it to the current date. Now run a scheduled job or a post on complete excuse me, transform script that I should have muted on that. Apologize. A post an on-complete transcript script that goes through all records that haven't been updated, inserted in the last 24 hours, or even the last hour since your import just ran. If it's not updated or inserted, if the date is, if that job runs and finds records out of range, then it changes the operational status. You can do this with a traditional based on yesterday's discussion, scripted scheduled job, or use Flow Designer on a scheduled basis to look up records and take action on them. Not going to be able to trigger the flow, though. No. I'll leave that part out, because at this point, in Madrid, there's an API that you could do to trigger a flow, but that's not available yet, so I'm going to leave that off. We did add an API to the script. See if I can find that for you real quick. I know, I'm giving you a sneak peek into what's coming next week. Why not? Here's Madrid. Start Flow. FlowAPI, Madrid. There it is. So we have execute flow. Apologize for the word wrap, making this big so it's readable. Execute flow allows you to start a flow. You could do this from a UI action. You could do it from a scheduled job. You could do it from wherever. You could do it from your own complete import script. We've got, and this executes synchronously, so it is run in the foreground. We now have a way to run flows in the foreground. So if you were running this in UI action, you would obviously want to trigger it. That makes me think of something else that I may want to do. I gotta think about that. Okay, you could execute a subflow. You could just kick off just that subflow. You can even, I like this one. There's a, where is it? Start action. You can execute a specific action on your flow. You need to map the inputs, of course, because that's what an action is going to expect. So lots of new stuff in Madrid as far as FlowAPI. So that's fun. Did we get that? We got that. That's the inbox. Let's continue on. We're making pretty good progress today. I always sit here like 2 minutes before the show starts and wonder, is there going to be enough interesting content today? I know, every day that goes through my head. Should I do this? Has there been anything? I did hear yesterday about noon my time, so it would have been about 6 or 7 p.m. UTC, that the developer portal, developer.servicenow.com, was redirecting back to servicenow.com. There was a lot of buzz on the community about that. I don't know what happened. I don't have any insight. But about an hour after I heard about it, it did come back online. So obviously it's working today. I went to developer.servicenow.com. Don't know if it's related to the rebranding, the refacing, or if it was just something, a one-off. Didn't hear anything back about a root cause. We have a discussion in the inbox. Let's go take a look. Looking. Servers and catalog name. Oh, this was yesterday's discussion where they said, hey, is servers a reserved word? Because if I use that in the catalog item name, something bizarre happens. And he included some screenshots that I will get here. Let's go to the content. I'm going to blow this out into its own tab and follow through the thread, show our replies. I said, not that I know, but I could be wrong. There are some reserved words that you don't want to use in your scripts or items, but it's usually a scripting thing. And he said, look, if I call it servers and I click this, I get record not found. I thought that was very bizarre. I can reproduce this now. They looked at the sysID, and I said, well, take note of that sysID of that catalog item. Then go change the name. Does the sysID change if you change it to, like, my catalog item? And yes, it does. It successfully creates the SC task when I change the name after all. Okay, what is this list of? It's a request of request items, and it's okay. Let's go try to reproduce this. I'm going to follow along. It's maybe a bug in a former release, but let's create a new catalog item. Maintain items. Make that a little bigger. I think I made it smaller yesterday for some reason. Maintain items is where we maintain our service catalog items. If you're not familiar with the service catalog, check out the NOWCommunity. We can't post links here. Yeah. YouTube doesn't let you post URLs for whatever reason. Probably so people don't spam you. And I'm going to create one called servers. Servers. We can spell servers right. This is an interesting thing. Who knows? Maybe they got added to a catalog. Probably pick a default technical catalog, right? Or service catalog. Sure, why not? We'll add it to both. It's a list field. I don't know where it's going to show up. Desktop only looks fine. We don't need this in the Jeopardy app. In fact, I don't want it in the Jeopardy app. Let's start over in global. Always check your scope, kids. Okay, do that again. Servers, catalogs, service catalog, good. Item detail, short description. This is a way to look at and order a server, whatever. Just making this up. Hi, I'm a description field. Semicolons on the end of my lines. Tell me I don't have a motor skills issue. Habits. Okay, save that. I don't know that I necessarily need variables or anything in here, but let's do a try it. I accidentally hit copy. Oops. I don't need a copy of that. Delete. Got a little... Oh, you'd think there's caffeine at work today, but there isn't. Okay, servers. Try it. I'm going to create an item. Order now. Isn't that an exciting catalog item? All right, it requested invalid transition state cannot update from pending to open with the given values. Let's go to my item. And sure enough, I have a request item record. Now, if I go to the items table, under service catalog, items, and there is my servers. I click it. Seems to come up fine. Don't know what's going on. Unable to reproduce. Okay. Okay. Apologies, but I am unable to reproduce this on my personal developer instance running Madrid. Time for a link to support. Recommend reaching out to customer support. I'll be interested to hear what they have to say. If you get an incident or PRB number, be sure to share it with others so they can reference it and follow the progress. Dun, dun, dun. It's not a happy answer, but it is an answer. We don't need that. We don't need... Let's go back to the inbox. And, I had an inception dream last night from my old job. I was at my old place of employment, but I wasn't employed. And I was telling them about a dream I had about being there. It was a dream within a dream. It was kind of weird. I was trying to check my voicemail to see if it was still active. And of course, it wasn't. I don't know if my old extension has been reassigned to somebody or not. I should call and find out. Because I don't know if anybody else ever does that. Call your old number to see who's there. Was it reassigned? Who got it? Leave a voicemail for me. That would be funny. Hey, I'm calling Chuck. Chuck, can you give me I have a question about ServiceNow. Give me a call. Yes, I still remember my old phone number. I remember lots and lots of old phone numbers. Not so much anymore because everything's thrown into, a contacts app. But, 20 years ago, had to remember phone numbers. So I had a whole bunch of them. Let's see. And in my dream, I remember calling up I walked into the guy's name is Steve. He started out as an electrical engineer. Now he's I want to say he's the COO. He's like second in command of the whole organization. This is like a $2-3 billion electronics company. And it's funny because I remember creating him and the CEO's account when they started. Yeah, Todd and Steve. Oh, back in, it must have been like 89, 90, something like that. Good on them. It's been wonderful to watch their careers progress. But anyway, I was in Steve's office and I was trying to check my voicemail. I accidentally dialed him direct. I don't know where he was, but he answered. I said, "Hey, Steve, this is Chuck. Sorry. Hope you're doing well. Didn't mean to call you up direct. I was just trying to dial out and get an open line." And his admin assistant walked up and helped me out. Apparently, they changed the whole phone system around since I left. That was only 8.5, 9 years ago. Why not? Back to the community. Crazy stuff. I don't know where that dream came from. Don't know where. Usually it's the I missed the entire semester and it's exam time now. Those are the anxiety type of dreams you get when knowledge is approaching and you're really stressed out about something. I'm able to get MVRS, hide special instructions from cart view. Need to configure aging reports. We already did that one. Special offerings and service portal. We're getting a little old on some of these. Might be time to dig into the special topic of the day. I should have some music or something. I feel like I need a transition here. We could do, where is it? Over to the instance. All right, special topic of the day. I was looking to pop out a window from a UI action into another tab. And my first instinct was to use window.open in a client script. So I went to UI actions. My point was that on the, let me show the use case. This is what I wanted to do. I'll show you how it actually works now. Is in the Jeopardy games, I have a game. And I want these UI actions. I said, I've seen this before. Happens all the time. You get windows out of Windows. You go into the widget editor, and there it is. So I said, I want to open up a new tab with a Service Portal widget in it. A Service Portal page and widget shouldn't be that hard. And of course, I went to UI actions and said, show me a UI action where the script, come on, script contains window.open. And I don't know if it did this right or not. And I said, let's take a look at a few of these. First of all, we also need to know where and client, trying to reproduce my thought process from Monday. Client is true. Run. I said, let's try this one. Edit with designer. Seems like guided tour designer pops out another window. Should be easy enough. And I looked down in the script when the page finishes loading. And it does a glide ajax, and down here is window.open. So I tried that. in my actions. Let's go to Studio. I might even have the old code still around. Jeopardy. It's almost time to Z-boot this thing again. Server development, UI action. Let's do Jeopardy home, where I was testing this out. For a reason I copied this over. And down here, I chose a different method, which I will get to in just a second. Let me put that in ye old script editor. And we'll do something very, very simple. Window.open. If you haven't used client-side UI actions before, you check the client button and make sure that you have onClick. That calls a function that matches the function name down here. Pretty straightforward. Window.open, and I'm going to hard code this for a moment. Jeopardy is the portal name. ID equals jhome is the page name. Now, the second argument is where do you want this to open? If you leave it blank, it opens in the content window in here, effectively. This is Studio, but you get the idea, that main window where tables and records show up on ServiceNow. If you want a new one, you say blank. If you've done HTML, this is the target. If you want it to open up in the same window, you put self. So let's save that. Boom. And try it out. Go back to my games record. I'm going to open that in a new tab. So that it shows up like this. By the way, I just did a command click in my browser to open up this in a new tab. And here is my UI action. Home. And of course, if I say edit UI action, I will see that come up and verify that is my window.open script. Okay. Open that up. And it doesn't work. So if I go to View Developer JavaScript Console, it barks at me and it says uncaught type error, cannot read, blah, 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 open from null. Well, the only open in that whole script is window. So how is it working for some UI actions and not for others? I did not see any declaration of window. I said, clearly isn't going to work. I don't know what the heck is going on, but it's clearly not working. And I got frustrated. I said, there must be another UI action that holds the secret. So I said, all right, let's find a different way. And what I found was this method that I've got over here. I'm going to replace that back with my UI action. Go back to Studio, go back to my UI action, and replace that with this. This is the GlideURL. This is the whole secret to this whole thing. GlideURL. I don't know where it came from, and the reason I wanted to check the developer portal is because I'm hoping it's documented. I thought it was. And I thought there was a server-side version and a client-side version, which is even more interesting because I swear I've seen this. Or maybe it was GlideURI. So constructor, GlideURL, context path, creates an instance of the GlideURL class. I believe you can use it to get parameters from the URL as well. So, this is under client-side scripting. Look at that. That is a client version. I'm not interested in the client version. I am looking for the server version. So let's do that search again. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I am using a client script. Silly me. My brain was in UI action going, this is server, this is server. No, I checked the client box. I told you I checked the client box. Okay, so GlideURL, you say, where do you want to go? This is the part that shows up in the URL after servicenow.com, blah, blah, blah. I want it to open up in a new tab. If you want it to open up in the same content tab, you do a nav2.do, that sort of thing. You can add parameters to it. So as you construct the URL, take a look up here. We've id things like, I'll make this a little easier to read in the text editor. We've got things like sysparm record target. We've got sysid. Now this is encoded, so %3d that you see right there is an equal sign. Then we've got sysparm record list, sysparm. There's lots of different parameters on here. There's probably a sysparm query up here somewhere as well. Get rid of that, don't save it. But what we're doing is adding those things together to get what we need to do. We can also, of course, get URL. In my case, I want to simply call the Jeopardy page. That's my service portal page. So my URL would be http instancename.service.com/Jeopardy. And then it takes care of all the question mark and ampersand stuff. So you don't need to build that way. URL add param, I want ID equals J_home. That's the URL that I eventually want. And then G navigation _open is how you trigger this. This is effectively the window.open. And I found, hey, this was pretty easy. This first line is because I also have this set as a, thought I did. Well, not on this one. Sorry, but on this one, open board. Open board is a form link, so I can open it from within the form, but it's also a list context menu. So looking at a very, 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 very similar copy and pasted example, this first line with the sysID says, hey, if you're doing this from the list, get the list row sysID. Otherwise, get the current sysID. So that's what this does. It says, are you a row sysID? If you're not, then get the current sysID, otherwise get the row sysID. And row sysID is something that's available there, so that it constructs this parameter for the game, which I want when I look at a list of games. So from within the record, there's open board, and when I look at a list of records, here is open board. Same UI action, behaving the same way, but it's smart enough to say, are you being invoked from a list or are you being invoked from a form? And gets that appropriately. So when I open the board, cha-ching, new tab comes up. Board comes up with the right sysID, with the right URL. This one says use the Jeopardy. This is using ID Jeopardy board and passes a game ID. So this particular UI action has two parameters. One is what is the ID of the, what is the ID of the game, and which service portal widget or which service portal page are you going to use? Got to get that right. Sorry, page is Jeopardy. I'm trying to remember. It's all getting confused in my head. What's the -1 in params? Oh, good question. When you pass a sysID of -1, it means I'm going to create a new record. So real quick example of my, good question, by the way. Good question, because that comes up from time to time. I'm going to do a very simple example. I'll construct this in front of your eyes and just copying out my service portal instance. So here's my instance name, http blah, blah, blah. If I were to say incident.do sysID equals -1, that will take me to the incident form with a blank record. If I specify a specific instance, it says, hey, look, you're making a new record. Ta-da! Aren't you happy? Now, it's in the self-service view, so if I want to override that, I could say sysparm view equals nothing. Sysparm view equals empty. And that will do. Oh, didn't get me out of sys. Let's find out. I cannot override that for whatever reason. The view rule is kicking in, so I don't have a view option. Kind of blows. Or it could be something I whacked out on my personal developer instance. We'll find out. So that's what -1 does. Of course, if you want a specific record, you specify the specific sysID, that 32 characters of hex that goes, looks like this. Actually, this part, I know it's a little hard to see on if you're looking at it on a mobile device, but we've all seen sysIDs before. One more question for anyone who can answer. Which forum should I post a question that I'd like Chuck to answer? There's not a Chuck forum, sorry. I would stay probably the developer is a good chance I'll see it. Developer or platform. Now platform are the two that often come up in my scope of info. Developer community or platform is the other one. Okay, so that is my info on GlideURL and how you can use that instead of window.open. I don't know why window.open doesn't work. When I went to build the actual widget, let's go to service portal configuration. I do a client script. Let's go to the widget editor and take a look at The Jeopardy board should work. I got 4 widgets for this thing. And the client script has nothing on the board. That doesn't seem right. Let's do that again. I know card does. Card. Loading. You tell it's loading. There's a little wait thing here. In here, I do have window.open calls, which work fine in Service Portal. So if somebody gets the right answer, I say, hey, control is passed back to you. Now go open in the same window. There's, didn't realize I hit that. There is, in the same window is _self. You can see that here. And here is the URL that I am constructing myself. Haven't thought about trying GlideURL. Don't know if it's available, but I know that if you use window.open, it is $window.open in Service Portal. Seems to work just fine. And you do need to declare that up at the top in your client script function scopy thing. So anytime you're using something like an HTTP request, that's how I post my answers back to the instance. Some people use a c.server.update, which calls the server script. That's one method. That's fine. There's an advantage to doing that. I, more times than not, go through a scripted REST API. Yes, it means I have to write that scripted REST API, but I'm in full control of what the inputs are, what the outputs are, and I'm not trying to decide in my server script, am I doing this from an update? Am I doing this from an initial load? It gets a little, I don't know, my brain hasn't wrapped my head hasn't wrapped itself around that scenario yet. I know there's a way if inputs and if data and figuring all that stuff out. This also gives me the advantage that I can build this up in stages and repurpose that scripted REST API should I need to. I can attack it from other vectors, not just from Service Portal. I could be using this for an integration. I could be using this in the case of the Amazon Dash buttons. I think I mentioned this, that we did a demo in Las Vegas. We had dash buttons on the machines, and we had a backup plan to use Service Portal. So because the dash buttons were using a scripted REST API already, I took advantage of that and wrote a Service Portal widget that simply mimicked that input from that button using the same parameters. It passes the button ID, it passes the click type, and it passes the battery voltage. I know that information. I could write a Service Portal widget that took advantage of that. So the scripted REST API truly is an API. If I had originally written that thing as a Service Portal only thing without a scripted REST API using the c.server.update in my client script, I wouldn't have been able to have real buttons interact in the exact same way. So I had a fallback plan, and the other advantage to scripted REST APIs is they're really easy to test too. So in Studio, my inbound integrations, I've got my scripted REST API. We'll take a look at that, and then all the children that are under it. I love these things. This is probably one of my favorite ways of interacting with the system. As I construct these things, I've got my resources, and when a question comes up, remember I showed you how I can post the question back to the host's little external monitor on their phone using another widget. I think I showed that to you the other day. Game card is how I do that. And I say, okay, when I click a card on the board and the card loads up, when I do this simple action, not that simple action, I put the board away. Silly me. Let's bring game 1 back up. When I click a question, it is hitting that scripted REST API in the widget right here, the part that I have highlighted, and calling this scripted REST API, game card, and says, hey, by the way, this is the information I want you to know about. I'm sending the card ID, and I also added the game ID in there, and I think the amount that I pass to that other widget. And it goes and updates the record. I showed you how I updated that on the game record itself. So I clicked that, and it says parametric tests were answered. And of course, the question is, what is Madrid? So parametric tests are being added to ATF in Madrid. When I do that, it's calling the scripted REST API, which before I built the Service Portal widget, before I put any of this code in, I said, all right, let's make sure this works. So in Studio, I am in Studio. In Studio, first, this is how I build things up. I build the script include function. Nice, tight little function that updates that record for me. I'm going to collapse that for a second so I have a little more real estate with which to display. And down here is something like set card or update card. Gotta find it. Not reset cards. This is all my reset stuff from that UI action. Get players, set player amount, set unanswered. See, a lot of these are not too difficult to figure out. Get card, get game categories, card amount. All right, can't find it. So my scripted REST resource, time to go look at what I actually wrote. This one does the update. I didn't call the script include for this. So I pass the card ID and I say, go out to the card record, get that card glide record. There's not even an if in there. I just trust that the ID I'm looking at is going to work. I don't have a lot of error checking in here. Then I set the question and answer, stringify it, and stick it in that field. So this is, you're like, well, how do you test that? All I need is the card ID. Great. Need a card ID. Go down here to a card, get a question, get a sysID, copy the sysID. In Studio, that's not Studio, that's Designer. That's not Studio, that's Studio. In Studio, there is a UI action down here that says Explore REST API, and it brings up the REST API Explorer. This is how you test inbound integrations. And it fills it out with post. Look, it's even got the right resource here. It says namespace is Jeopardy, API name is Jeopardy. That's the REST message that I built, REST record. And here are the resource records. I've got get card, player, update, set control, blah, blah, blah. I'm testing the game card one. And I know that it's my API, so I need to set a JSON payload that looks something like this. Card, sysID. Ooh, put that in quotes. If you don't know, you can also use the builder if you're using fields, but I am not. I'm just going to pass that in. Let's send that, see what it does, and voila, I get a 200 back. I'm not really sending a response, but if I wanted to, I could add additional, I'm going to find here somewhere, I could add additional parameters in here to send a response with a payload, blah, 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 and get that back. So you can build this up very gradually. Build your script include function. Test that. Scripts background is a great place to test that. Make sure that the input and output parameters are going. Your unit testing as you're building. So yes, I know that this script include works. I have faith in it. I can use it from a UI action. I can use it from a scripted REST API. I can use it from any server-side code over and over again. And many of them I do use in multiple places. So the architecture is to build that script include. Get that function working, get it tested, get it. That's your scripting API. Then I deploy it to a scripted REST API that does the action. This wasn't the greatest case. I can show you a better one. Let's go to set control, when I pass control from one player to another. This one's a little simpler. Okay, I pass the player, I pass the game, I say, hey, Michael, you're playing this game, you now have control. Go get the game record, call my script include with that record, call the set control function out of that Jeopardy utilities script include. So script include called by scripted REST API called by service portal widget. Piece of cake. Easy to debug. By the time I get to the service portal widget, it's a pretty clear shot to say, I already trust the underlying components. And because of this layered architecture, I can reuse the set player or set control, which I have, when I do my reset. So in here, I think I mentioned this already, as I get down here, I'm resetting players, I'm resetting the game. There's my set control. It simply says, if I'm passing it to Michael, then set control field on Michael's record to true and turn everybody else's off if it's already on. So there's two glide record queries, one to set and one to reset everybody else to false. In here, where I reset the game, because I have that reset UI action on the game record, clink, if I look here, I say, oh, I was halfway through testing, I want to reset this back to the start. set the first player to control, set everybody's amount to 0, set all the cards back to queued, not answered, whatever. That's all done with a little bit of scripting down here. So script include calling other script. Little notation if you haven't been observing. If it is, JavaScript doesn't really understand the concept of private and public scope, which is okay sometimes. You can abuse it, but other languages like Java have this ability to say, this is my function and only I can use it. JavaScript doesn't have that. If somebody instantiates this script include as a new util, they have access to all the functions in there, whether they know the names or not, whether they understand the API, whether it's public, private, doesn't matter. There is no public and private. So a notation that we often use for my private functions, it's a little notation that says, look, trust me, this isn't used outside of this script include, is the underscore prefix. So you'll see underscore reset players, underscore set player one control, underset reset cards, set player one control. So it says, go get all the players and whatever one you find in that array that's first, call set control. This simply says it is a function in this script include. Pretty standard stuff if you haven't done scripting before, but you can call scripts from other scripts, making it easier to build, layer, debug, and use. Whew, that was all over the place. Short poll, how are going to K19? I'm going to drive, more than likely. Possibly fly, hasn't been determined yet. Really depends on what Craig's travel plans are and how long we're going to be there. So that is, I get to use the Jeopardy example again. I've updated the code a little bit since. I should probably refresh this version of the application. It is near the top of the hour. Let's do a quick check of the inbox, see if there's any discussions we need to follow up on before departing today. And yes, reference field is not displaying, there we go. So this was marked helpful. This was our discussion about, hey, I've got a sysid. And they said, here's the payload that I got back. And I said, yeah, it looks like you're getting a sysid, which is why when you put it in Service Portal, you're getting a sysid. You want the display value, which we talked about a little yesterday about Service Portal stuff. They said, well, how do I know when I've got a sysid? I said, that's easy. It's 32 bits or 32 hex characters. You could use a regular expression similar to this, where the pattern, this is untested code, of course. Why not test it? Sure, why not? Let's test it. I was talking about this before. Let's make a pattern. Pattern is a regular expression pattern. If you want to get more information about regular expressions, there are plenty of resources out there. I did a 2-part series on Tech Now about them, I believe. So you're welcome to review those as well. I am going to try this. Let's say they get that payload in. That looks like this. I'm going to steal this example directly and say var obj equals kada boom bada bing. I'm going to format that a little bit just for our friendly readers at home. We have an order date. We have a test, which is a string. We have a name. We have a customer name. I said this wasn't tested code in the script. I am now going to test it. So there's my object, and we can do obj.customerName gs.info looks like a sysid. Else gs.info that's no sysid. That's no moon. Give you a little Star Wars reference today. All right, test that out. Go over to scripts background, close that down, go to scripts background, which is here. Paste that in, and the undefined value has no properties. Okay, what did I miss here? Customer name. Spell the object correctly, Charles. It'll work better. And we get that's no sysid. Apparently my irregular expression did not work. Let's copy a valid sysid. I just happen to have one right there. Just in case. Is my regular expression incorrect? I'm kind of hoping it is, so then we can play let's debug a regex. I know, it's top of the hour, and I just jumped into something that could take us a while. Still thinks that's no sysID. That's a shame. So let's do this. var match equals obj.customerName. Over here. Let's find out what the result with that match is. Could we please stop highlighting? I really wish this editor would stop highlighting when you click somewhere else. Var match equals pattern. Oh, you know what it might be? No, I'm going to leave that alone. Let's just gsinfo match. Match equals match. This is where the script debugger would come in nice. And I'm going to leave that alone. It says, I have no idea what you mean at line 17. Let's go back to line 17. And I don't see a line 17. Did I miss something? Okay. This is where I go to my regular expression builder. And I think I need a /G. Rubular is one that Dave Slusher pointed to me. Put in your regular expression, put in your test string. There's my test string. And my regular expression is, it says, I want 32, 0 through 9, or A through Fs. And apparently I've got it completely wrong. It's all lowercase. Putting in G doesn't help. Not plus. Plus just says I need one or more of them. What is wrong? Regex quick reference. Okay, if I give it a range, exactly 3 of A. Oh! It's saying 32 Fs. Okay, it's got to be... Do I have to group this thing? No. How do you get 32 of... Oh, I see it. That's my range of characters. 0 through 9 and A through F. Ta-da. Now, I should be able to paste that improved expression back in there. And try that. The old adage, I used to have a problem, so I thought I'd use regex. Now I have 2 problems. Okay, if I turn this into something else and put in some false characters just to test that, it's not going to be a sysID anymore. Oh, that looks like a sysID. That's not even the same expression. What happened? Copy. It needs exactly 32. It does have exactly. It's looking up to this point. It says, yep, I see that pattern in there somewhere. So it needs to be exactly 32. So how do you stop that? You say it must start with this, and it must end with that. Run that, and it's going to say, that's no sysID. But if I take those extra Ds out, I don't remember how many there were. There might have been one in there when I started. Looks like a sysID. Okay. Whew. Improved pattern. Let's post that back to the discussion. In fact, I'm going to edit that. Edit. The pattern should look like. Can I edit this with my little code snippety editor? Sure can. It's going to start with this. Take those brackets out. Sometimes I have to refresh my memory on every single time I do a regex, even the simple ones, and that one's fairly simple. Update. I updated the regex pattern to be more accurate for sysIDs. Have a nice day. Did you have a comment on there? Nope. This is Mark. Helpful. So, finish with a regular expression. Can't get much better than that. Well, for a Thursday. That takes care of it for today. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to click subscribe, like the video, mark the community post helpful, which will be posted in about 20 minutes after I conclude this video on the community. You can find all of them there. Thank you for joining, and I will see you tomorrow. And do what it says on the next screen. Find something, learn something, share it, and be helpful. Till then, take care.